In 1991, a new national constitution was established which gave a lot of rights and liberties to various indigenous groups throughout the country. These groups were then given their own land rights. Unfortunately, this has led to an unstable situation for some who declare themselves followers of Jesus. This is a story I'm here on the ground to tell. How we can help those who are being persecuted, tortured, and in some cases killed, all for their belief in Christ.
We were in the church, 14 of us. We had known that some radical indigenous people wanted to come and take us out and destroy the church, but we never thought that this was something that was going to happen for real. But that morning, probably around 9 a.m., they came with the guards and many other people. They just began to pull us outside. They began to destroy the house and destroy the church.
Russell Stendhal is the founder of one of our partner ministries on the ground, Colombia for Christ. He is partnering with other ministries, including the Voice of the Martyrs Canada and Crossroads, to establish a new village of homes in which these persecuted Christians can live and worship in relative peace. So Russell, tell me a little about the history. Why do you want to build a village for these folks?
Back in 1991-92, they redid the Constitution of Colombia and gave a lot of rights and liberty to the indigenous groups. Like, for instance, they can sentence somebody to death and just about carry it out, and nobody's going to ask any questions, though the national government doesn't have the death penalty. It's really gone overboard when you think of the fact that they consider it to be a very bad crime to be an evangelical Christian. And so evangelical Christians can get killed. Nothing's going to happen to anyone that kills them. Evangelical Christians can have their house burned down. Then they'll have absolutely no legal recourse. Evangelical Christians can be completely run out of the area. Nothing will be done about it.
On the side of this mountain sits a collection of near unlivable structures. Many who live here have witnessed their houses being burned, their families tortured, expelled from their tribal lands for their supposed crime, being a follower of Christ. So what is the condition of the people that are in the camps right now? Dr. Fernando Torres describes this makeshift community as a breeding ground for disease and even death.
The conditions were terrible. They didn't have any roof over their heads. They were sleeping on plastic, no blankets, no food, no hygienic conditions, no sanitary conditions, a lot of parasites, respiratory diseases, malnutrition, you name it. And the question is why? Because in Colombia, the indigenous groups have a lot of protections and help from the government. And then I finally discovered that it was because they had become evangelical Christians, and they'd be kicked out and denied all of the help that normal indigenous people receive.
What we hope to do through your support is to be able to provide adequate housing for these people literally living on the edge. Sammy Hernandez is with Colombia for Christ. In 2015, they partnered with the Voice of the Martyrs to build a village which helped hundreds of persecuted Christians rebuild their lives. Now Crossroads is joining that proven partnership to build another new village for this group of displaced people.
A few years ago, we did a project in Cauca. It was for more than 400 people, and it was a great project. It's been known as one of the most wonderful projects, with all this community being self-sustainable in 1 year, and that's a record. So we are doing the second try with this new community, but we need houses and we need tools to work the land.
Crossroads is excited to be a part of this proven model, which will see hundreds of lives impacted.
Well, we have a tremendous opportunity because these villages, when they become Christian, if the Christians own the land, then our lawyers can work on getting those lands approved as reserves, and then if it gets approved as a reserve, then native law prevails. And so then the Christians get to make the laws, and their laws are going to prevail, see? And now we've got a government that's respecting that and that's putting through legislation and actually starting to do programs that will respect that. And so we're starting to see a shift here. And the only thing that will really tip the balance is Christianity.
The good news is what we know is that this works. It can totally change lives. Greg, you were just telling me they're self-sustainable within a year, and that even the people who persecuted them are sending their kids to those schools.
I know, and that's one of the things, that this is a proven method that's already worked once in Colombia, so we already have the template for this, and so we know how to do it. And we got people that are, volunteering their time, doctors, lawyers, and of course we get to partner in this, so we're excited because we've already got $16,000, and for every dollar, we will match that up to $16,000. So you give $1,000, it's $2,000. So give us a call right now. We need your support. 1-800-265-3100, or you can go to crossroads.ca/cares. We're making a difference, and we're going to be reporting back to you to show you the amazing things that God is doing through all of us.
Yeah, and Greg and I agree. We've been talking to the persecuted church. We've seen their pain. And the hardest thing for them is to feel that they're forgotten. And I don't know about you, but I felt very hopeless and helpless many times, saying, I can't change what the government does. I can't change what your fellow indigenous Colombians are doing to you. Like, I actually can't do that. But one thing that we can do is give them home, is give them safety. And you're going to be answering the prayers of so many of these people by giving today. Give us a call right now, 1-800-265-3100. You can give online at crossroads.ca/cares. It's one day that we are giving to support our brothers and sisters around the world who are being persecuted.
And here's the thing, you and I are reporters, but as we've gone into these places, and we've come back just to share stories, this is different. We are making a huge difference. So again, let's get those phone lines ringing, 1-800-265-3100, or go online to crossroads.ca/cares.
Well, try to imagine what their situation is, having your home, your neighborhood stormed by those who are less tolerant than you. In this next story, you're going to meet Maria, a mother of two who witnessed her family being split apart from each other, beaten and driven from their home repeatedly. They have no government support or protection or help, and this family was left to fend for themselves. Watch this.
Marie Mesa has been a follower of Jesus for most of her life. For decades, she and her husband ran their own ministry, working as missionaries in the mountains of Colombia. Their two children were raised witnessing their parents pastoring in churches throughout the countryside. But all that changed 10 years ago when they were forced to flee, fearing for their life and leaving their home behind.
In 2007, we opened a little school in the village. It grew up to 70 children. We began to teach Christianity in the school. Some of the local villagers got really mad with us. They began to persecute us, destroying the school and taking out all of our belongings. Then one day, they destroyed our homes and forced us out of the community.
But it was Marie's youngest daughter, Lady, who suffered the most. Held captive and tortured, she thanks God for a cell phone she had hidden that was her only lifeline.
I'm very thankful to the Lord because He didn't allow them to do anything worse to me. When I was held hostage, they were saying that they were going to hang me and torture me and do terrible things to me. I had a cell phone and I was able to communicate with my dad. He said, "Don't worry, have faith. You're going to come out of this and have strength." I had the strength to escape twice, and so I'm very grateful about that.
Marie grows emotional as she recounts that horrible day.
In the beginning, they were giving the order to kill every Christian in the village. My youngest daughter, who was the only person who wasn't in the village at the moment, she was the one who suffered the most. She had to see everything. Then they attacked her, and she now has a problem in her arm and in her leg because of the violence.
In the middle of the night, Lady's parents were able to rescue their daughter from a nearby village where Lady had fled to escape her captors. Marie's son also wears the wounds from that day. His hands and arms are scarred by the blade of a knife as he protected himself during the attack. For now, this is home for Marie's family, a relatively safe place removed from their homeland. It is a mix of people from various communities who also suffered persecution.
The community of people that are living with us right now also experienced the same torture and abuse. They were Christians in their own communities, teaching their kids the way of the Lord. They were betrayed, tortured, and forced to move out. The priority is to have a safe and normal place to live where we can feel comfortable. Right now, as you know, we are living in tents and it's a temporary place. We wish we could have a place of our own built properly. That would be something good for our families.
a future village where one day Lady will be able to live out her dreams.
I want to keep studying. Because we have been displaced, I have not been able to keep studying. In my spiritual life, I just want to continue to serve the Lord, in whichever way He can use me and my family.
These are the conditions that we've come across here in Colombia. You know, people living under tarps, under plastic, water running through their houses, and as a result of that, the children are getting sick. But with your support, we can build a brand new village for them. Just a few feet away from right here, the children will have a place to go to school, there'll be a place to worship in their church, work the land, and all those things that are part of a community. It's happening because of your support, so thank you very much for giving. It is a worthy project. Call the number 1-800-265-3100. Make a difference in the lives of people here in Colombia.
We stepped out of the studio for just a few minutes and we're up here in the offices of Crossroads Cares Relief and Development, here with the director of Crossroads Cares, Dave Shelley. Dave, we've talked about the International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church for years, but what difference does it make to see the actual people and hear their stories?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to finally get beyond just praying and to reach out with some practical help to these people who have been chased out of their homes because of their faith.
As we've learned, that first village that was built was so successful with clean water and safety to worship without being tortured. It's amazing. And now we're going to build a new village. Tell me about the plan for that.
Well, every family needs, whether it's you or me, we need a safe home. We need a place where the children can have a safe bed and they're out of the rain and it's clean. And so our first focus is on building these homes for these families, giving them a safe place so that they can, and clean water, and so they can start their farming and gardening. So it's so important to get them started right so that they don't feel forgotten.
Dave, I love the fact that we are doing this project to give practical help and that you're heading it up. Thank you for that. And we're coming to you to ask you to be a part of this because we cannot do it without you. We've heard these stories for years, and can you imagine what it's like to be a persecuted Christian, attacked for your faith, and feeling all alone? That's why we need to come around and help. Will you join us and help bring home for these families? That number is 1-800-265-3100. You can also give online at crossroads.ca/cares, and thank you for all you do. Well, can you imagine being a family that is uprooted over and over and over again? That is the stories we'll be hearing today. This is the situation for so many families like Mercedes Chokwe.
With her grandchild on her back, Mercedes Chokwe sources food to feed her large family. Mercedes' family were violently driven from their land in April of 2013. Since then, they have been forced to relocate 4 separate times. Currently, this is home. 10 family members must share this tiny space, just one section of a temporary village built of bamboo with a roof of tarps that constantly leaks rainwater. For now, it's better than the alternative. Mercedes tells of how her husband was forcibly taken away from their home, tortured and persecuted for his faith.
They were looking for the Christians who were actively living out their faith. Because my husband was someone who was more outspoken about the Lord, they took him and put him in a deep hole in the ground and began to torture him.
Mercedes' husband endured more than 72 hours of solitary confinement and torture. After his release, the family fled.
There is an immediate necessity for us to have more safe shelters to live. Because I have 4 grown children who each have their own large families, every one of them needs their own home. We don't have any electricity right now in our temporary shelter. We just have to wait until one day when we can move to once again have power.
I mean, there's obviously health issues and concerns, right? So the money that's being raised for this project here in Colombia, where will those resources go?
Immediate needs right now, housing, which is cheap. We're able to build very inexpensive housing, and we've got them in temporary housing now made out of bamboo. What we do is we come in and do what they can't do. No one is going to be able to help them with the housing problem.
Won't you please consider partnering with us on this exciting, worthwhile project? Your donation will mean so much to a family struggling to finally find peace after years of persecution.
Sammy, we've heard some powerful stories today, people that have suffered for Jesus because of their faithfulness. Now we have the opportunity to get them a safe place to live, education, and to worship in freedom. How important is it for Canadians, our viewers of 100 Huntley Street, to get behind this project?
It's an amazing project. It's not something that you see easily, and this is a really good opportunity to be part of what the Lord is doing in Colombia right here.
Okay, so we're going to encourage people to call the number on the screen. We also have the website information. You can make a huge difference for the people of Colombia. It's a worthy project. Call right now.
Gracias, Canadá.
Gracias, Canadá.
Gracias, Canadá.
Muchas gracias, Canadá.
Thank you, Canada. God bless you.